family and friends. This is Michelle Gorden, Realtor with Pearson Smith Realty. Got my real estate assistant AJ with me today.
Hello.
We are out and about. You guys know I love history. We are in Charlottesville, Virginia on the University of Virginia's campus, and we are at the Memorial for Enslaved Workers and that were part of the University of Virginia's history. It's very interesting, it's very informative, and like always, I'll keep you posted on our goings and comings. We're gonna tour Charlottesville today.
Happy New Year.
So it's off of University Avenue. It's kind of hard to find. It's near the Rotunda in University Avenue. You can just make a left off of University Avenue to where they have public parking and walk across the street. Hope you guys get an opportunity to come out and see it. It's really good. Hey everybody, it's Michelle again. We're at Monticello. We're doing a quick little tour of the home of Thomas Jefferson, and we'll let you know what we see here.
Before you go inside, just to give you some background. As you probably already know by now, Monticello is the home of Thomas Jefferson, 3rd President of the United States, author of the Declaration of Independence, that famous document that has inspired people all the world over with his famous words, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." And Thomas Jefferson, the author of those words, grew up right here, down the hill behind you, at his father's home in Shadwell. It's about 2 miles away. His father, Peter Jefferson, was a surveyor, a map maker, a plantation owner. He owned several thousand acres around here, including this mountaintop. So Jefferson, as a boy, spent a lot of time outside. He would ride his horse up here to the mountaintop, and he dreamed of building his home here one day. Now this was when Jefferson was born here in 1743. Of course, this was British colony. This was the territory, and he grew up on the frontier, the Blue Ridge Mountains over to your right. That was the edge of English settlement. Of course, there were people living here when the English settlers came. This area was the home of the Monacan Nation of Native Americans, but by the time of Jefferson's birth, the Monacan Nation had pretty much moved out of this area or been pushed out by the English settlers. So Jefferson grew up here on this property. At the age of 17, he went to William and Mary in Williamsburg for 2 years. Then he studied law there, and then he started reading. His friends said that if you didn't stop him, he would be reading for 13, 15 hours a day. And one of the things he studied was architecture. And he taught himself to be an architect by reading books, especially one by an Italian named Palladio. And he began the designs for this house, which he named Monticello, which means little mountain in Italian. Now, it took about 40 years for Jefferson's designs to be made into reality, to this house you're going to see today, for a couple of reasons. He was not here a lot during his adult life. He was a member of the House of Burgesses. He was a governor of Virginia. He was sent to Paris to be the United States minister or ambassador to France. He was there for 5 years. Then he got home. George Washington, the first president, asked him to be the first Secretary of State. Then he was our second vice president, and then he was the third president of the United States, serving 2 terms. So he was not here a lot. The other reason it took 40 years for this house to be completed was he changed his mind a lot about what he wanted it to look like, especially his time in France. He got over to Europe, he saw designs, he saw architecture that he'd only read about before. He came back here, had them take down Monticello 1, which we call it Monticello 1 and Monticello 2. You're seeing Monticello 2. A lot of Monticello 1 was taken down, put back up, and architectural elements that you'll see inside were added, like skylights. You saw skylights in Europe and alcove beds. So keep an eye out for those as you go through the house. But what you see here today is pretty much the way Monticello looked in 1809 when Jefferson retired from what he called the splendid misery of being president of the United States. He was very happy to get back here to Monticello. But Monticello is not just the name of the house, it was the whole plantation. Several thousand acres, over 5,000 acres. So this was a busy place in Jefferson's retirement years. He did not live here. He was not on this mountaintop by himself. Anywhere from 150 to 200 people living here at Monticello. A quarter of those were his large extended family. You'll hear some of their stories as you go inside and listen to the audio. When he retired here, he invited his oldest daughter, Martha Jefferson Randolph, to live here with him, with her family. She had 11 children. So Martha ran the house for him. She educated her 11 children here at Monticello. So it was a busy place. Thomas Jefferson and his wife had 6 children. His wife died after giving birth to the 6th one, so she only lived to the age of 33. He called his marriage 10 years of uncheckered happiness. He was deeply grieved at her death, didn't leave his room for 3 weeks. But only 2 of those children survived. Martha, the oldest I told you about, and Mariah, the younger daughter, both survived to adulthood. Now, when Jefferson went to Europe to be our minister, he took his 2 daughters with him.
Hey everybody, it's Michelle and AJ here again. We are in Monticello out in Charlottesville, Virginia. This was the home of Thomas Jefferson. We did a tour of his home. About 90% of the artifacts in the home are original, and most of the home I also believe is original, except for some things that had to be replaced, such as windows. And right now we're overlooking the garden at Monticello, and this is where the family got all of their produce and vegetables and fruit to feed the family. Alongside this garden was where the slave quarters were. There were several slave quarters along here where the 160, I believe, slaves were housed at the Monticello mountain.
What do you think about Monticello, AJ?
I like the house.
You like the house? You gonna rebuild the house in Roblox?
No.
No? Anything
not
else
a
you like?
modern house.
No.
Okay.
So we're gonna finish our tour here. We got a couple of things to see, the kitchen and the cellar in the Monticello house. And thanks for taking the time out to listen.
So we just finished Monticello or Monticello. Very educational, very good look at the complex history that makes up America. If you get a chance, I would definitely suggest taking the trip out to Albemarle County. It's just south of Charlottesville. You can actually see Charlottesville from the mountaintop and get an idea of kind of learn a little bit about Thomas Jefferson and his unique history as it relates to the founding of this great nation. Happy New Year, and look forward to creating more content for you in 2022.